Listen, there's expectation, and there should be expectation in this city with this amount of talent that we have. We have a superstar talented pitcher. We have superstar talented players, right? And there has to be something and someone that just cannot accept mediocrity, if you will. 500 baseball is 500 baseball. You don't win playing 500 baseball. Literally. You have dominant players, and they have to figure out, just like that young man has right there, how to dominate. And I think these guys, they need to be pushed. Right? I know that. I'm sitting here and just thinking about myself and Eric Davis and what he did for me in my career. What he did is he challenged me. He didn't let me just go out there and just play and be okay. He told me it is unacceptable for you to be a 500 ball player. It's unacceptable.
Listen, I know I've given Lark a little bit of a hard time with his broadcasting, and listen, he probably tries his best, and I think he does an admirable job of trying his best. I also think that there's something that perhaps he's got going against him, and the fact that Chris Welsh has been doing this a long time, and I think Chris Welsh kind of got, I don't want to say pushed out. This is just my opinion, and again, Chris does away games. Maybe that was his decision. I have no inside baseball knowledge of any of this, so I could be speaking wrong here. But Chris Welsh is really good at his job. So, yeah, I do come down hard on Lark sometimes from a broadcasting standpoint because I think that there's just times where he's got to be better. But the truth of the matter is this, is that comment he made had passion behind it, and I have no problem with what he said as a whole. The issue that I had was more or less that he was suggesting that this team has a lot of talent. I don't see that. I'm not trying to be rude or overly, pessimistic about this team or anything like that. But to suggest this team has a ton of talent and you're severely underestimating or they're underachieving of what they should have been, Nick, they were scheduled. Vegas had their over-under this year at 81 wins. With all due respect, that was with everybody healthy. This team's had injury after injury after injury. I don't know if he meant it the way he said it, but for every superstar that he was calling it that we have a severely below average player of Major League Baseball, in my opinion. And then from there, in the middle of all that, I think we have a lot of serviceable average players. This notion that they should be way, way better than they've been, I'm not buying it. And I'm not trying to give a pass to the front office and David Bell. But I just think that's an outlandish comment to make during a broadcast. Personally, to be very clear. That's my opinion. I don't want this to go sideways and people think that I think that what he said is wrong. I think that him suggesting that they should be better is wrong.
I don't really have a problem with the comments at face value. I just wonder what the motivation for making those comments were. I mean, I think Barry Larkin's made it pretty clear that he wants to be the Reds manager.
No.
And I kind of feel like this was taking an opportunity to lobby for that because I feel, I don't know anything for certain, but I feel pretty confident that the Reds front office does not want Barry Larkin to be their manager. Based on a lot of comments that he's made, doesn't really typically align with what you're looking for in a manager in the year 2024, 2025. So when I heard those comments, that's what I thought. It was like, yep, Barry's trying to plant a seed that I want to be the Reds manager. And
I didn't take it as that, but
I'll just say this is that. But, well, a lot of people have turned around and said that Barry Larkin needs to be the Reds manager because of those comments.
Oh, that's wild. Okay, I didn't see that.
Whether he meant, I think there was probably some meaning behind it. That's just my personal opinion. It definitely has fired up some of the fan base, which, could put pressure on it. I'll just say this. Barry Larkin does not prepare very well for his broadcasts as a TV analyst. Certainly do not want that guy managing a baseball team. I mean, if you can't prepare I'm serious. I'm not joking. How many times has the Reds played an opponent and he has no idea what's going on? I mean, you want that guy to manage your baseball team? I mean, like, he does a lot of great things. I know he works with a lot of young players and all that kind of stuff. But this guy can't even prepare to be a color analyst on TV, and you want him to manage a baseball team? No.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong in the sense that maybe he doesn't prepare, but maybe I would argue if you're in the Barry camp, I think the argument would be that maybe he's mailed it. Okay, there's an argument to what I'm going to say too. Maybe he's mailed it in from the standpoint that he's just not into calling games, and he was like, I thought it was to be fun, but I don't really like it, so whatever, I'm just going to show up and do my best. I still don't think that's probably the best attitude to have in life. Not saying that's what Barry does, but it certainly seems like that at times. And you know what? Like, I have nothing against Barry personally. He's a great player for this organization. I don't really love the idea of him being the manager because I just think it's a disaster waiting to happen, you know. And I'll also say this: like, if you're Barry Larkin, I don't think that you want that either. Like, you might think that you want to be a manager, but I would try to go test those waters out somewhere else first, because the one place that loves you, adores you for what you did in a baseball uniform is Cincinnati. The one place that you could probably maybe turn that around, and I can guarantee you that it will turn around. People will hate his guts one way or the other if he's the manager. Unless, to be fair, he's got them and he's holding them accountable and they're winning 95 games a year and they're going, deep into the postseason. Then it wouldn't happen.
I agree. That's also been one of my, my biggest reason why I didn't want Barry Larkin to be the manager is because of a lot of comments that he said just doesn't typically align with what I think is smart baseball and in terms of strategy today. And I know Barry Larkin, back when he was on ESPN, it was a long time ago, but he was talking about how Joey Votto needs to drive in more runs and needs to start swinging at pitches out of the strike zone with 2 outs, and just like things that typically don't align with things that I value. But the point of, if it goes sour, it's just a great way to have your legendary player kind of have a sour taste. Now, having said all that, you can't come in. If Barry Larkin was going to come in and be the Reds manager at any point over the last 20 years, coming in 2025 is about as good of a spot that you can come in. You come in with a manager that a lot of the fan base feels is drastically underachieved for the last 6 years. You have a pretty talented roster. You're going to have a rotation that's going to be as good as we've seen probably in our lifetime next year, or at least the year after that. So you are coming into a pretty good situation. So if there was ever a chance for Barry Larkin to be successful, it would be right now. I think it would be a terrible decision by the Reds. I don't think the Reds are going to do it, but if Barry puts enough pressure on them, I don't know, it could get interesting.
That's kind of wild. I did not see it that way, but maybe you might. I'm not saying you're wrong. There's a chance that you're right. And if that's the case, then best of luck to him. And I guess the positive thing for me would be maybe we get to hear Chris Welsh more, or maybe something else happens like that. That's a positive. So I won't be too upset about it if that happens. Now, if there's crazy things that are happening in a baseball game that are a little ill-prepared, then perhaps I'll be upset about it.